Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special edition episode on the Backgate Podcast. I'm your host, Trent McGee, alongside my co-host, Mr. Jake Endicott. And Jake, we have a special guest with us for this episode. She is a specialist in our topic for today, the NCEA National Championships in riding that are taking place in Ocala next week. Our special guest today is Miss Naomi Wegner. Naomi is a former UC Davis equestrian rider, and she's bringing her expertise today to the Bracket Challenge. Naomi, thank you for joining the Backgate Podcast, and can you please give us a little rundown of how this all works?
Yeah, I had a really short career at Davis. The people were great. Everything was great. I just came back to turn pro, but it's a really interesting format that you don't see anywhere else. So you have the two teams and you have a random generator decide what horse they ride, and each person assigned to a horse. The first team will go, they'll get a score. The second team will go on the same horses the first team did, and they'll get a score. And whichever person gets the higher score on a particular horse gets the team point.
That is a really interesting format, and I think that also really plays in. Yeah, it really plays into the advantage of catch rides and experience on riding multiple different horses. There's also a Western portion to this as well. Is that right?
It is. The Western team works the same way with how their points are given out. I also think it's really interesting. We're not going to see it in the national championship, but I think the home team really does have an advantage because it's their horses that they practice on and they use all the time. So I think that's also important to look at when you're looking at stats and what team does what.
Wait, I have a question.
Right.
So when you go
Jake.
to an away game, you use that college's horses?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem right. All right.
Right?
That's definitely not right, but it's okay.
Jake's giving his input on what the format should be. At the
I
back end
couldn't
here,
tell
we're
you how
always
to
trying
make it
to
better,
further the
but-
sport.
That doesn't seem right, but whatever.
So basically, what we're doing here today is in support of equestrian riding. We are here doing the Bracket Challenge. The regular season for the equestrians has concluded, and they have NCEA has ranked the top 8 teams, 1 through 8, for a national championship that takes place in Ocala, Florida. And just for fun, taking everything into account, stats, rider lineup, past performance this past season, each of us, and inspired by all the March Madness that we just went through in basketball, each of us have created our own brackets for the NCEA National Championship in riding in equestrian sports. And we would like to share that with you all today. And maybe get some healthy debate going in here on our NCEA predictions. Like I said, stats, huge part into it. Naomi kind of broke down a little bit. Home stats versus away stats, a very big change. And then, of course, you have the English versus the Western. All things to take into consideration. Before we get into our individual brackets, Naomi, any takes on this regular season? Any hot takes kind of on the way things were seeded going into the national championship?
I think that a lot of teams came out this year that, not that they didn't do as well last year, but, and we'll get to my explanation of this, I think like Davis, for example, had a really great year where even if they had a loss, like if you look at the actual score, like one of them was against just with a raw score they lost, one was by like 1 point. I think you're seeing teams really excel that maybe haven't in the past years or making a comeback. And I think that's really interesting.
Right. I think that's it's important so me and Jake are pretty new to this, I would say. Wouldn't you say, Jake?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I didn't know anything about this until like maybe a week ago. So I'm still learning, but I think I got the hang of it. And I'm pretty sure I put together a perfect bracket here. So I'm pretty pumped. Also, another question. How do they do the seeding? Is it just on most wins, or is it like, how do they do it?
Yeah, that's a really good question that I don't know the answer to. But I would also love to know.
I'm pretty sure there's like a committee,
So it's like college
but
football. So it just could be completely rigged here.
I think you're right.
Because
I
I
think
was
it's
looking at
a
it.
complete mystery.
South Carolina has 7 wins, don't they? 7 wins, and
I have to
UC
double
Davis
check.
is 8-8. So how is South Carolina ranked higher than UC Davis?
And they also won
I think it
their
definitely determines.
individual championship.
Yeah. So
I think it really depends on strength of schedule too. I think that's something that plays a deep part into it.
well, I don't know. I
Well,
guess.
we'll get into it. We'll get into it. Don't worry, guys. Jake has been taking this. He's a newbie to this, but he's been taking this very seriously. He said he's
I'm
been
all
making
in.
Look
some
at his
phone calls.
whiteboard.
Yeah, look at this whiteboard. Do you see this whiteboard? This did not take a couple minutes, okay? It took ages. The title did take maybe 30 seconds, but other than that, color coordinated and everything. Lines
Crazy.
straight. I mean, this is professionally done. So I'm taking this very seriously. Trent,
He is.
not so much, I guess, because I don't see anything behind him, but whatever.
See, I work in the silence, and all I'm gonna do is deliver a perfect bracket. That's all I'm working towards. I don't have the flash of my whiteboard, but you're just gonna see pick after pick be correct, and you're gonna wonder how I did all this research in the nick of time, but I did
In the nick of time. Yeah, all right.
in the nick of time.
Anyways, we'll see.
So, let's break down the seeding. Number 1 seed, TCU, had a great season. I'm trying to find their record. Anyone have their record on hand? I think they only lost
12
once,
and
right?
2. 12 and 2.
12 and 2. 12 and 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So, looking, I think from a record standpoint, that you can see why they have the number 1 seed. Had a really strong season. Number 2 seed, we go down the bracket a little bit. SMU. SMU has a really strong roster. Can someone tell me that record?
9 and 5.
9 and 5. So I
Yeah.
think with SMU, see, this is where the seeding gets a little bit weird. I think it's going to depend on which teams they beat in the regular season, strength of schedule, aspects like that. So even though you see right, and SMU doesn't play in conference, so I think when you talk about seeding, there's a lot of other factors that go into it besides record. So that's why for the high 2 seed there, number 3 seed, we go back towards the middle of the board to Auburn. Now, Auburn has a long history of winning these events. Again, had a strong season. I think pretty well balanced too between English and Western. Can someone give me that record?
9 and 5 also. Actually, SMU is 9 and 4, but Auburn is 9 and 5. So
Got
maybe
it.
that affects it.
So Auburn,
I guess.
right. Going to the 4th seed, we have Texas A&M. A&M looking solid again as well. There you can see why they're the number 4 seed. Strength of schedule, they had a really tough schedule, but had a good
A&M
record
was
as well.
9 and 4, but I see that this is where I get confused with the seeding here because I don't know. I have no idea. I get confused.
Yeah, I have a number, and as we go along to the stats, it only leads into more questions of why things are seeded the way they are.
I'm going to just leave the seeding in the past. I'm going to forget about it. I'm going to pretend like it makes total sense to me.
Well, I'm wondering if you're a trainer or a rider on one of these programs, if you are understanding this seeding correctly, or if you're just as confused as we are. Maybe this is just a genuinely confusing thing for everyone involved. Naomi, from your experience and from people do you know, is this just a genuinely kind of thing that's questioned pretty often?
I don't have that much insight into this, but I will say that Davis won their conference last year, and one of the other teams beat them in the top 8, and they didn't get to go to nationals. And I feel like conference is a thing that's very important. So I don't understand why that didn't make more of a difference.
I was just going to say that, actually, because I was going to say, well, maybe conference record is the tiebreaker, but Auburn is 3-3 in the conference, and A&M is 4-2 in their conference, and Georgia is also 4-2 in their conference. So I don't know.
Didn't OSU beat TCU in their conference?
Yeah, OSU won their conference final or whatever they did.
So that, again, just confused.
But I don't know. Anyways,
it's kind of all over the board,
I'm not talking about it anymore. It doesn't make any sense.
we're putting seeding in the past. Either way, going to number 5 seed, Georgia. Georgia record there, guys.
9-5.
9-5. I feel like everyone's 9-5 or 9-4.
Yeah, they all
Not a lot of
like
9-1 teams here in the championship.
the 2 through 6 seed have the same record pretty much.
Interesting.
So
I feel like that makes it even harder to fill out your bracket.
I know it was a real challenge.
Right. Number 6 seed goes to OSU, and 7 to South Carolina. Correct.
Yeah,
both
South
again.
Carolina.
Both again, though, I feel like this could have been seeded a couple different ways, and then rounding out.
I'm gonna mention it one last time. South Carolina 7-8, 1-5 in the conference. How are they ahead of UC Davis?
I'm pulling for
It's a good
Davis.
question.
I don't know.
Well, I was gonna say rounding out the top 8, UC Davis, Naomi Wegner, past alumni.
My 6
and,
month alumni
I think you have
trip.
to graduate to be an
Yeah.
alumni, but we'll let her have
Okay.
it. We'll let her have it.
We'll let her have that title. But but she has a better sense of the team than I would say you and me, Jake. So, good information there.
Yeah.
Either way, time to get into our individual brackets and putting us on the spot and explaining our picks. Who wants to go first?
Trent, why don't you lay it down first since you're feeling so confident?
All right. Jake, get that whiteboard ready because it's time for our bracket
I'm ready.
picks. All right. Starting at the top, the number 1 seed TCU versus the number 8 seed UC Davis. I gotta break Naomi's heart. The first round matchup, I'm going with the number 1 seed. TCU comes out on top. I think in a closer matchup, in a heartbreaker, I think in a closer matchup than their seeding tells. You see, I think UC Davis is a sneaky pick here. Don't let that number 8 seed fool you. They're going into this with a lot of momentum. They haven't competed against TCU this season, so it's a little bit of a blind going into this. Neither team knows each other really well, but the last time they competed, which I believe was last year, Davis only lost 9-11, so it was a close matchup. Similar rosters as they had last year. A few differences, obviously. I think overall, though, I think the western side of TCU is so strong compared to Davis. Both teams have are going in with strong seasons, but I think TCU just narrowly comes out on top in that first round matchup. Next matchup is A&M versus Georgia. This is a hard one to predict. Yeah, it's a hard one to predict. It's the middle seeds. If you're familiar with any sort of bracket system, March Madness and all that, these are the hardest games to predict. I think everyone knows, and these are two strong teams. However, I'm going to go with the number 5 seed, Georgia, over Texas A&M. Jake's nodding his head.
Respectable pick. It's respectable.
It's a respectable pick.
Either pick is respectable. Either pick is respectable, in my opinion.
Just looking at Georgia. So first of all, the thing that stands out to me, not that this is too. I mean, this advantage goes away for the championship, but they're 6-0 at home, which is which is pretty confident, I would say. I mean, that's a great way to. That's a pretty commanding sort of record to look at. And they're 4-2 in their conference. So you can see why they're not, say, one of the top 3 seeds or something like that. But I still think they boast a really strong lineup. If you look at our expertise, which is the English side, a lot of notable names there, a lot of kids that had great careers in the equitation. I'm going to go Georgia over A&M. A&M's still a very solid team, though. Their Western side's very good. They got some studs over there on the English side as well. And they're coming in with a little bit of a heartbreaking loss to Auburn for the SEC's championship. So I'm going with Georgia. Next matchup, Auburn versus OSU. I'm taking the past experience of Auburn and their past success. I'm going Auburn over OSU. Jake's nodding his head again. I feel like Jake's I'm staring at Jake reacting to all my picks.
Even fresh off the upset for Oklahoma State? They did
fresh
just
off
win
the
their
upset,
conference championship.
I think this makes... They're really confident going into this, and they should be. They had a huge upset over the number 1 seed, TCU, to win the conference. that's what we talk about seeding. I'm still surprised TCU comes out on number 1 because of that. But
Right.
OSU probably sneaks in because of that win, because of that underdog win. Respect to them, but I just feel like Auburn is. There's a reason why when you say Auburn, you already think of them as one of the favorites. I don't want to harken back too much to past success, but I do think it makes a difference. They've got strong. They're strong on both sides, especially we know a couple of different people on the English side. We know that they're really good riders. They're sticking with their same starting lineup. It seems like that they've had for the entire season, so pretty consistent there. They're not the one thing that they're a little bit suspect about is that they're 2-4 in away matches versus 5-1 at home. So a little bit of a a little bit of a risk there, but I'm still sticking with Auburn there. Next matchup, SMU versus South Carolina. Got to go SMU. They're a really good team.
No hesitation. Are you throwing shade there or what?
I'm not throwing shade at all. But I just think SMU is a extremely strong team from both sides, and I don't know. I feel like they have they're going into it with some momentum, and they haven't so they don't play in a conference. Is that correct? So I don't know if that's a little bit of a advantage, I think, actually, in this scenario where you come into this and you're not really, I mean, you know the names, but you haven't, it's kind of, you mean, you kind of come into this a little bit more of a, I think, unknown in terms of the day-to-day head-to-head matchups. They've got a
I
really
don't
strong
know.
roster on paper.
I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
about that.
Just my
They're
thoughts.
still
Just my
playing the
thoughts.
same teams, are they not?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, maybe.
Maybe.
They don't get the extra
maybe it's a stretch.
championship experience.
Sure.
That's true, but you already look at. I mean, you look at their team. I feel like they have championship experience already. Are they not
Not
the
on the
defending
team.
champions?
Not on the team. Oh, I thought you were talking about the. Yeah, never mind. Are they?
I believe
Honestly,
they're
I
the
don't know.
defending champions.
I didn't go
I
back
Yeah,
that
believe
they
they
far.
are.
I did not look
I
at
believe they
last
are.
year's results.
Yeah.
Jake is looking in the past few months, guys.
I'm
All
in
right,
the
next
present.
round. He's in the present. Next round, TCU 1 seed versus Georgia 5 seed. I'm taking the upset. I'm going Georgia. Jake looks surprised, but I'm going Georgia here. I think TCU is a great team. The Western Division is definitely a standout, but I think Georgia overall is probably more well-rounded for a championship setting like this. TCU had an amazing regular season, but their loss to OSU for their conference really has me scared going into this. That once you get to the second and third rounds, I would rather trust Georgia in these scenarios, and that's why I'm picking Georgia. I think Georgia is just the more well-rounded team. Next matchup, Auburn versus SMU. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the toughest matchup for me to choose, but I'm going Auburn. And hear me out. Auburn is coming into this with arguably the most momentum out of any other team in this bracket. Am I wrong? Coming out on top as SEC
Yes and
champions.
no. But I'll
We'll
let it
get to your
slide.
bracket, Jake. We'll get to your bracket, but I think they have the most momentum coming into this. Sort of. I mean, I just think that plays a huge advantage into this. And I think I think they will have a special knack for that neutral site of riding those different types of horses. They're a great team on paper. They're coming in with like I said, momentum. They're coming in with a 3-match win streak. I think that makes a huge difference, and that's going to carry over into my finals matchup. I have Georgia, Auburn, and I have Auburn coming out on top. Auburn are going to be your NCEA national champions for like the 20th time ever. They're a pretty dominant organization. And so I think when you have that championship pedigree, when it comes to riders, trainers, the whole system, and you have momentum, I think that's a tough combination to beat. I have Auburn winning it all. Guys, your thoughts on my picks?
You know, not bad. Not bad. I mean, not bad. I don't know. There's not that, but you can't make that many mistakes with an 18 bracket, honestly.
That's true. That's true. This
It's
isn't
hard
this
to
isn't like
go.
this isn't March Madness.
It's hard to be so wrong, but anyways.
But okay, Jake, if for all your so you've been evaluating me this entire process. But you've been staying more silent than I thought you would. It's time to hear your bracket.
I didn't want to give away any of my picks. I wanted to make sure I made myself clear, but I didn't make it obvious who I picked.
Right, you want to play your cards close to your chest. Yeah.
The
I am
whiteboard coming
erasing
in
a
handy.
lot of these picks.
The whiteboard. I gotta say, for all our listeners, before we started recording this episode, Mr. Endicott over here was just priding his whiteboard.
So
setting
pumped
it all
about
up
the
for us.
whiteboard. So pumped about the whiteboard.
So pumped about the whiteboard.
I think
All right,
I was
Jake,
the only one
take us
pumped.
through your bracket picks.
Anyways, my bracket, pretty similar, but couple differences. First game, TCU UC Davis. This one I had to actually give a good thought to, because usually you think first the 1 seed and the 8 seed is a giveaway. The 1 seed wins that every time. But TCU lost their conference championship, and UC Davis is on a 1-game win streak. So UC Davis coming in hot. Maybe they could pull off the upset. I think not. TCU takes this one.
Heartbreaker. I think
I did
not.
have to think about it.
He said.
I did have to think about it.
Yeah.
That came off a little strong, but it was closer. It was close.
Well,
A&M Georgia.
And we also mentioned
go
earlier
ahead.
how strong TCU's Western team is.
Yeah, the Western team is. I mean, I'm guessing the best one, but I have no idea what anything is in the Western side. But
Based on
the
no
stats-
The stats support that.
based on the stats, the Western team is outstanding, and stats don't lie. Anyways, A&M Georgia. The close matchup. Very difficult to predict. But A&M on a lose. They lost their last game.
Yep.
To Auburn, the conference championship. Georgia won. So I don't know. I guess I'm taking Georgia based on the fact that they won their last game. Other than that, I have nothing to say. I mean, their stats are almost identical. Actually,
It's close.
A&M lost to Georgia in the regular season. So that's what I'm basing this off of. Georgia wins that one. Auburn OSU. Now, put the pen down for a second, because this is going to get interesting.
Okay.
Auburn is clearly a standout. Clearly a standout team here. I mean, they're the 3 seed for a reason. They're 9-5. They're on a 3-game win streak. They won their conference championship. Their lineup is stacked. Now,
wow.
OSU is on a 4-game win streak.
They are the hottest team coming in. Yes,
they are the hottest team, biggest win streak. They are 8-6, so 1 less win. 4-2 in the conference. This also, I don't know that anybody else takes this into consideration. They're 2-0 in neutral games, so not home or away. Auburn also is, but whatever. So with all that information, I'm taking Auburn.
That was such a setup for you to take OSU.
I was really believing the
Played you. No upset.
Yeah. Just really believing you in the upset, yeah.
Yeah, no upset, actually. I mean, for a second I considered it, but Auburn is too good. I think they're too good. On paper, at least. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's some inside information, but on paper, Auburn seems like the better team. SMU, South Carolina, I don't know. I don't think this one's that close. I think SMU is outstanding. They the only downfall of SMU is they didn't play a neutral game this season. But I don't know. I don't think that's a big enough deal to really have them be upset by the 7 seed. So SMU, I don't think this one will be that close.
SMU moves on.
SMU moves on. Back to the top. TCU, Georgia. I didn't put a lot of thought into this one. I have a lot of faith in TCU. They're taking this game again.
Wow. He says not a lot of thought. I think Georgia's got a strong lineup, though, no?
Georgia has a really strong lineup, actually. Looking at their roster, a lot of people that I know, all of them are good. But I don't know. For some reason, I am a big TCU fan right now. So TCU takes Georgia.
For TCU.
I don't even think I really looked over the stats to compare them. I think I just believe TCU is just going to will their way to the final.
Go Frogs.
Jake's got heart.
Go Frogs! Sorry. Auburn SMU. This one was tough. This is the hardest one to predict for sure. I have no
I
idea what's
agree.
going to happen here. But based on the fact that, actually, based on no facts at all. This is a pure guess because I have no idea. Nobody has any idea. Actually, sorry. There were 2 facts. Auburn lost to SMU twice. Once
They
at
did.
home
Those
and
are
once
good
away.
facts.
That's huge. I mean, that's huge.
That
How
is
did I
huge.
forget about
That's
that?
a big
Actually,
deal.
didn't know that.
Yeah, so Trent. So SMU takes that. Also, they have been dominating in the past years. They won last
They have.
year. They beat Auburn the year before that. So I'm taking SMU.
SMU for the win.
Here's the
SMU.
big game.
Here's the big
Now
game.
this one took some thought because I was riding the Frogs the whole way. I was a major Frogger for this entire bracket. And SMU, honestly, SMU, I think it might be the best team on paper in the bracket, at least for the English side, because I know nothing about Western. The records are pretty far apart. 12-2 and 9-4. It seems like a pretty big separation here. But TCU lost to SMU in the regular season. That's worrying. It was a full fences sweep by SMU. TCU also lost OSU. Yeah. They were the 6th seed. So if you're losing to the 6th seed, that's also not a good sign. Both matches were away. This is not going to be a home match. So also take that into consideration. SMU takes the championship. It will not be close. It will be a complete blowout in the final. I have all my money on SMU. I will be placing that.
What's SMU's logo or mascot? What's
the
SMU's
Mustangs?
Wow, there we go. You passed the test.
Pony up.
Wow. That went from wow, this is a lot of debating, a lot of back and forth to SMU all the way.
Yeah.
No thought.
That's great.
What do you guys think about the bracket?
You know, honestly, I mean, there was a lot of theatrics going on during it, I will say. You had me on the edge of my seat on every single matchup. You definitely were riding the Frogs. You were really favoring the high seeds. That's what I noticed. The only matchup where you didn't favor the high seed is A&M versus Georgia, which is a very tough matchup to predict.
Yeah, I have no real upsets on this board.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. See, when you don't know that much about what's going on here, you take the high seed every single time.
And
also,
you take
no. I did my research. So
I believe
the research just supported the seeding. So the whole debate we were having at the beginning of this podcast that the seeding makes no sense, it actually somehow worked its way out.
Yeah, maybe it does make sense.
Yeah.
So maybe it does make sense. Maybe I'm totally wrong.
Maybe we were wrong.
This is the perfect bracket. Every single one of these games is correct. I promise you.
All right. We're going to hold that to you. Finally, we're going to go to the person who probably has the most actual information about this.
My 6 months at Davis really taught me a lot.
It really taught her a lot. She's been awfully quiet. I don't know if our listeners know Naomi, but you talk, right?
Well, like Jake said, I don't want to give away my cards.
Exactly. Well, so that makes us even more eager to hear your bracket, Naomi Wegner.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, for our listeners, moved on from Davis and is now a professional show jumper. So do college, do professional show jumping, do whatever you want.
Do 6 months, do a year.
Naomi is the perfect example of this. You can try a little bit of both.
Sidetrack real quick. Sorry, Naomi.
You're all good.
Trent, do you want to place bets on who wins this thing?
Yeah.
I think there needs to be a wager on this, yes.
How much are we thinking? 100?
Oh, that's a little... How much money do you think I make, Jake?
I know how much you make, Trent. 100.
100.
100 let's go on who wins this.
Let's go 50. I got 50 on Auburn. You got 50 on SMU.
Trent just got a new car. He doesn't have the 100 to spend.
Oh my gosh. Well,
It's
if you
used.
would
It's
stop
used.
crashing the cars, you wouldn't have to
That's
get
so
new
true.
cars.
Into stationary objects. Throwback
Into
to when
parked
Trent crashed a
vehicles.
car into a parked.
Our listeners are well aware of my driving mishaps, Naomi. You don't need to come on in episode 4 and
Do they
re-educate
know
them
you
on
got pulled
everything.
over today?
Oh,
It
Okay,
actually
Trent.
wasn't his
pulled over.
fault.
No. It was
Oh,
not my
Trent, you
fault.
seem to
Okay,
have forgotten to mention this when we were on here. I'm confused.
no fault of mine. No ticket whatsoever. I contributed like a champ. Okay, I did my
Oh my
part
god.
as a good American citizen.
All right. Anyways, Nomi, let's get a look at your bracket.
Okay, so let's look at 1 and 8 TCU and UC Davis. I think, yes, TCU has a super strong Western team, but I think so does Davis. And I think that this year, especially, they've gotten a few starters that have really been making a difference. They have some left over from years past who have also been making a difference. I think almost every loss they have to big teams has been really close. And I'm going to go that Davis is going to beat TCU in the first round. I know.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm hearing it.
Upset
One.
alert. Where's the
Upset
bell?
of the
Where's
year.
the bell?
Quick, ding, 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 ding. Upset alert. Naomi, I
No.
can't help but notice. Is there just
Yeah.
the slightest bit of bias in this pick?
Yeah. No,
That was
totally.
the most biased
There
pick I've ever
definitely
seen in my
is
life.
bias.
No
I think
disrespect.
there's a chance, though. I mean, I wouldn't have picked it if I thought it was a 0 chance. I think they're getting closer and closer, and I think they've been doing a good job, and maybe this is where they're going to show it.
I like it. I respect the pick. I love a good upset.
They're knocking
Honestly,
on the door for sure.
love
You
a
got to
good
give them the
upset.
respect.
right now,
Mhm.
I'm pulling for not TC.
I
oh,
know,
come on.
I can
UC
tell.
Davis.
No, you
I hope
are pulling
no,
for
no.
TCU.
No, I am, but I love an upset. I would love for UC Davis to win this whole thing. I would be down
That would
50
be
bucks.
great.
Actually, no, I wouldn't be because Auburn doesn't
No
win.
one picked it.
If UC Davis wins this, I will be thrilled.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so
I
let's
won't be
go to
upset
4
either.
and
That'd
5.
be cool.
That would be cool. I'm rooting for Davis. Like we all said, this is a really hard one to pick, but I mean, with everything stated before, I do agree with both of your guys' picks. I'm going for Georgia. I think it's going to be really close. I think it could go either way. I think it was really close when they were at A&M. So I think that, new horses, new people. I think Georgia's going to pull it out. Auburn and OSU, like we talked about, OSU's been having an incredible season. They won their conference for maybe the second year in a row. There's a chance I made that up. But they've been doing a really great job. But again, like everyone said, Auburn has been absolutely killing it this year. So I'm going to have to go with Auburn. Same thing with South Carolina. They've been doing a really good job. I think they've been getting really close. But SMU are reigning national champions. I think they're going to have to take the win there.
They're a powerhouse.
They are. Going into our next bracket, as much as I'd like to keep the Davis vibes going, I think Georgia, it might be their time. Georgia might be taking the dub there.
All right, so you're a fake
and
fan. You're a fake fan, is what you're saying.
I am a fake fan. I wish I could
And-
keep pulling for Davis, but I'm hoping they get their first win, and then I think Georgia might take it over.
the Cinderella run is over just like that.
It was short-lived, but
It was
did
short-lived,
happen.
but it was there.
It was great while it
Um,
lasted.
It was. Auburn SMU, like everyone's been saying, it's going to be really close. It's a hard one. I'm going to personally go for SMU. I think they've had a
Oh.
great season. Same people as last year. Maybe a few more freshmen that are starting. I don't really know, but they've been doing a really great job. They have some notable names on both sides. And when looking at Georgia and SMU, I'm thinking SMU's going to take the win again.
Wow.
I'm going
Love
for
it.
SMU.
Going with
Pony up. Pony
Smith.
up.
Pony up.
I feel outnumbered. Yeah, so I mean, I feel outnumbered right now, to be honest with you. I do think SMU is a powerhouse of a team, but so is Auburn. So I do think, looking at the way the bracket's situated, no disrespect to OSU or South Carolina, those two are great teams. And OSU is coming off lots of momentum, as we talked about. So that's a sleeper pick for sure. But I feel like all roads lead to Auburn SMU as a really critical matchup in this bracket, tourney style. I went with Auburn. You guys went with SMU. Honestly,
Real
it could go
quick.
either way.
I
Jake.
would watch one of these matches if it was OSU versus South Carolina. If somehow they win both these games,
Yeah.
I will watch. I will be so pumped.
But that's the thing about this tournament, though. I know that most of our picks are looking very similar, but this could all, with this 8 teams, this could all go so south on all of us, because I could see a team that's coming in hot like OSU get on a run and literally, and make a good bid at the championship. South Carolina, I think we're all sleeping on them, honestly. I know SMU is a really tough first round matchup, but in this type of tournament, anything goes. And they boast a really strong starting lineup. So I wouldn't really be surprised. And honestly, like you said, I would love to watch that matchup. That would be pretty cool.
If it's UC Davis versus SMU in the final, I'm watching. I don't know how to watch, but I'll
Pulling
figure it
for
out.
it.
I will watch.
USF live stream,
We're gonna
I think.
figure out.
I will be excited. Also,
We're gonna find whatever way to watch.
OSU has a really strong roster, so I think they're pretty
Yeah.
underrated.
I know.
In this bracket.
I feel like I'm getting. Yeah, I feel like they're severely underrated.
I mean,
not
Auburn
to
is also
disrespect
amazing, but
Auburn's. That's why they're my pick. I mean, they have their history speaks for itself.
yeah, they're
We
fine.
We have one more bracket to quickly go to. We can't disrespect our producer. We got to show love to Miss Mia Jones. She put together her own bracket, and we got to, all three of us, sit around and assess her picks as well and make her feel extremely
Well, I have a
judged during
feeling
this.
that yeah, I'm feeling that Jake's going to be a huge fan of this bracket, seeing as it is identical to his.
Personally, my favorite
You're
bracket
kidding.
other than mine.
You're kidding me. I don't know if Mia and Jake did their research together.
They got together
Or-
before this. They actually had a meeting that we were not invited to.
No, I feel like this was some insight, that this was, maybe they know something we don't. Okay,
let
I've
me just
heard
say
that there's
this.
some.
Mia, honestly, Mia probably knows more about this stuff than Naomi does, and
Yeah,
Naomi's
for
our
sure.
expert. So if my bracket is identical to hers, I did something right.
It's true.
And
Well,
I'm
there's only
personally
one
pretty
way to
pumped
find out,
about it.
though. There's only one way to find out. Yeah, we should mention that even though our listeners can't hear or see Miss Mia Jones, she is on the call with us right now, as she is for every single episode we do, and she's in our ear giving us her opinions. But yeah, there's only one way to
Very
find out if
opinionated.
there's only one way to find out if Mia and Jake actually have this insider info, this these secret things that we don't know about, and they're making all the right picks. Or maybe they just are bad at the bracket style. Who knows? We're
But
gonna find out.
Are you not worried that you're the only one that doesn't have Smoo taking the dub here?
I like to
Yeah.
be different.
Okay, but I didn't know, like Jake said, that Auburn lost to SMU twice this year.
No,
That's
I
really
know, but
important.
if you
Twice.
see, I'm gonna.
Twice.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
if you
So
what?
I'm gonna throw my own facts.
Sounds to me
out
like
there,
he didn't
okay?
do his research.
Yeah, that's kind of
I
something.
did
that
my
way.
research.
It was an emotional pick.
Emotional pick. First,
Not stat-based.
First of all, I'm going into this as just cold-hearted. I think this is fact. Okay, there's no way around it. Auburn, this is their year. Okay.
You were really standing hard with this.
No, because these losses, you understand that losses build character, right? And
Oh, Jesus
they
Christ.
haven't had, even though they've had a great season, it hasn't been the easiest road for them. And I believe those those losses to SMU are just going to motivate them that much more.
No way. They're going to be nervous. They're going to be nervous. Are you kidding me? They're going to be like,
no,
oh,
they've got nerves.
We haven't beat SMU. I don't know. Nah, I'm telling you, they'll be in their heads. Yeah,
nerves of
it's
steel.
It's very rare that you have an entire team filled with people with nerves of steel. It'll be half and half at least.
Mark my words. You're only as strong as your weakest link.
All it takes is half the team to be off.
We'll see. We'll see. I still feel good about my pick. I'm not changing it. I like to be different. I do respect your guys' SMU picks. I can easily see them winning, but I'm rolling with Auburn. They're looking good. Well, this was a fun special edition of the Back 8 podcast. If you guys want to watch, the finals take place April 18th to April 20th in Ocala, Florida. In all seriousness, this is a oh wow, Jake.
Pony up.
Pony up. This is an extremely cool setting and format for this championship, bringing awareness to the college level of equestrian, whether it's in the English or the Western side. It's all extremely cool. I think the way the matchups run down. I know me and Jake didn't know much about it, but actually I think the way the matchups go for these meets is actually pretty awesome, and requires a lot of skill. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's a lot harder than people think. This like
Right.
the way that they do it, because it's like you can't just have like 2-star riders. It's really like the way that they score it makes it a real like full team effort. Everybody has to do well. They can't have 2 great players. It's not like basketball where they've got 1 or 2 stars and then the rest are just role players. You have to have a full team of good riders to put together a good team. So
Yep.
I don't know. I think it'll be exciting.
Absolutely. And before we head off, thank you to our guest star. Naomi, do you have any other things to add before you leave our expert on this episode?
Yeah, I wish there was maybe a little more expertise here on my end. We have 2 guys who are not allowed to participate in the championships, and me who went to Davis for half a year. I don't know if we're all just friends and ended up on this together, but, I hope that one day we can learn a little more about
not
it.
what it was.
You needed the expertise from a
did not end up on
6-month
this
UC Davis.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's not
no,
that you're.
I had full faith in Naomi until I saw the UC Davis pick, but
Watch out.
I
Watch
like
out,
UC
y'all.
Davis. They are the California team, but
Yeah, represent your home
I
state.
tried my hardest to get them in there, but I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, he was playing Frogger the whole way until the
He really was.
until the
Hard
championship.
TCU.
Until the championship.
I was just trying to fake you guys out a little bit.
Hype up the
Just throwing
frogs.
You're throwing some
Well,
juke moves out there.
Pony up till I die.
All right, this was a very fun episode, a special edition episode of the Back 8 podcast. We had this fun idea we had this idea going on for a while. Finally came to fruition, and of course, we got to shout out Jake's big whiteboard, color coded and everything.
For real.
Very cool. That'll do it for us. Thank you to our guest star, Miss Naomi Wegner. Thank you to our producer, Miss Mia Jones. Original music by Colby Garvin. And as always, thank you to my co-host, Mr. Jake Endicott. My name is Trent McGee, and we'll see you next time at the Back 8. See ya.
Pony up!